everyone, all of you who are here in the sanctuary, and for those of you who are at home. I am Ginny McGill, if you don't know who I am, and I am just elated, so excited to be here before you to discuss such an important topic. Before we started, I had a chance to speak with some of the ladies here in the sanctuary, and I was thinking, I've been here for 25 years at this church. Amen. Okay, I know I'm only 25, so how is that possible? Okay, but I've been here for 25 years, so and I'm so grateful that Pastor Bell and Sister Bell have given me the opportunity to speak to you all on this topic. I'm just so grateful, and I'm grateful to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for giving me the gifts and talents that he has, and the abilities to be able to speak so frankly and honestly and with knowledge in the area of children's health. So this evening's topic is on raising healthy children to stay healthy. Because it's one thing to raise them to be healthy. And it's another thing to make sure that they're following those things that you taught them to stay healthy. Okay? How many people in here, by show of hands, have children between the age of 0 and 22? Okay. How many people, and for those of you at home, you can raise your hand too. This is an interactive session. How many of you have grandchildren between the age of 0 and 22? How many of you have nieces or nephews between the ages of 0 and 22? Right. And how many of you have, let's see, neighbors who are between the age, or neighbors who have children between the ages of 0 and 22? We all encounter and come across children. So this may not be something that you have to go home and share with a child at home, but this is certainly information that you can share with those in your community, okay? So before we get started, let's pray. Let's pray. All right, let's go before the Lord. Lord, we are just so grateful for who you are and the design with which you made each and every one of us, and our unique talents and capabilities, and the portion of health and strength that you have given to each and every one of us. I pray that this evening that you use me to share your message, Lord, to bring glory to your name as we discuss the topic of raising healthy children to stay healthy so that they can be better servants of you, Lord. We thank you for who you are and what you've done and what you're going to do in advance. In Jesus' precious name we pray, amen. All right, so I'm not a teacher, but I work at a school. So in true teacher fashion, I have some objectives listed, and by the end of this session here, we will have answered a lot of these questions and talked about a lot of these topics. And prayerfully, we have a little time at the end, and you can ask some questions, okay? So we're going to discuss healthy food options and eating habits. We're going to discuss the importance of physical activity for children. We're going to identify healthy sleeping habits for children. We're going to talk about mental health because it does matter. And we are also going to explore urgent care clinics versus emergency room care. That is a significant area that one day if I go for my PhD, I would like to do a study in that because ERs are used way more than they should be for things that they don't need to be. All right? And just a quick disclaimer, the things that we're going to discuss here, they are recommendations. For your children and whatever their specific needs are, I would encourage you to definitely talk to their pediatricians because they are the experts in children's health. And if they've been with your child for many years, they are the expert in your child. So while I will give you lots of recommendations and guidelines, I would like for, if you would like to make a change to their health habits, you should definitely talk to their pediatricians first, okay? All right, don't say, yeah, because the nurse at my church said. All right, so I work as a school nurse, and we have what's called a framework. This is the whole school, whole community, whole child framework. And we all know that health incorporates different things, right? It's not just about what you eat. It's what you do. It's what you watch. It's your genetic makeup. There are so many things that are incorporated in health. So the reason I put this up here was to show you that we're going to be talking from different angles, mental health. We're going to be talking from physical health, what parents can do, because we're all a part of the piece of the puzzle that brings our children to be who they are. And we want them to be healthy, but sometimes we're missing pieces and they just don't have access to that, their best selves, because they don't have access to certain pieces. So just like to throw that in there, it's just my little plug for school nursing. We really do a lot. And then you see the community surrounding the outside here, because we are the community. And if it's not your child or your grandchild, you see children, especially on your street. I'm not saying go out and feed the child that, is walking down the street, but in your community, I know you encounter children. And what you're learning here, I do hope that you would share with them and their parents. So, as I was doing my research for the slides, I came across several, quotes that were just important, I believe, that really brings it home. The CDC in 2022 said, youth risk behaviors such as physical inactivity, unhealthy dietary behaviors, tobacco use, alcohol use, and other drug use are consistently linked to poor grades and test scores and lower educational attainment. My lens is children's health and education, but they go hand in hand, whether you work in the school or not. You find that the people who are most educated have better health practices, and people with better health practices are higher educated, or have a higher level of education. And so they do go hand in hand, and we're going to talk about that because, when I think about the population that I work with, the children aren't doing well academically or behaviorally, and a lot of it has to do with their health. It has to do with their health. If they're not getting proper dental care, they can't sit and take a test because their tooth is, has a big hole in it. I can't even begin to tell you. So there are just some basic things that aren't being taken care of, and which will decrease their ability to be educationally and academically successful. And it just will continue to present a challenge going forward if they don't get these health needs addressed. So there's a direct relationship. And in fact, that is what my next slide says. There is a close relationship between health and education. And if you look at this chart here, I know it's kind of small, but I wanted to point out the column to my left. Yep. So this is, just want to make sure. Yep. So this is for children who, talking about healthy food options and eating habits, we're just going to jump into there. How many of you eat breakfast every morning? Raise your hand. How many of you try to eat breakfast every morning? Raise your hand. Make a good effort. For us, maybe we can stand to, miss it. We'll catch it, a little later. For children, it's just really not the option there. Children definitely need to eat breakfast. And I'm not talking about, let me think about some cereals that I could never eat when I was younger. Those, all the things with all the colors in it and, the sugar and stuff, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about a balanced breakfast. We're talking about a protein. We're talking about like an egg, something with substance to it. Those cereals don't always have substance. The kids love them, but they contribute to those bad cavities. So looking at the chart here on the left, the blue column, well, let's look at what it's describing. So children who ate breakfast on all 7 days, 42% of those children, when you look at their report cards, they had mostly A's. That's almost half. 42% they ate breakfast. And then you have children with B's, 31%, C's, 23%, and D's and F's, 20%. Breakfast is important. Every meal is important, but breakfast especially is important. And I'm going to show you guys a tool that you can find on Google to help you come up with some good breakfast ideas. Because honestly, I get sick of eating the same thing all the time, and kids do too. So you want to make it creative and fun and interesting for your young people. So I encourage if you know children or you have children who attend the school district of Philadelphia schools, they have a site. And most districts do, I assume, because they have dietary programs where you can look at what's being offered every day, down to the drink that is being offered. And you can look at the calories, you can look at the carbs, you can look at the protein, you can look at all of those things, and your child can look at it too. And they can say, I don't like what they're having today. Okay, that's fair. You're not gonna like everything, so then they should pack their lunch, right? So that they're eating something, because then what will happen is they don't eat anything. Nothing. My son is getting to those teenage years, and he just, I don't want to eat. No, you're going to eat. Food is so much more than just filling up your belly. You know, it's sustenance for life. So I wanted to point that out there. And then moving forward, this is the resource that I wanted to show you from online. And it's on myplate.gov, which is a site that is commonly used for food portions, food controls. The food pyramid was what was being taught to me when I was in school. So this all comes from that. And if you have Alexa at home, then she can, if you literally say, Alexa, enable my plate skill, she'll provide you with some tips. And I think that's particularly funny or interesting because where did Alexa come from? Like, my daughter is 3 and constantly, Alexa, 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 turn the bathroom lights on. Alexa. I'm like, do you talk to your brother? You're talking to Alexa. So I just find it particularly interesting. But hey, we got to get with the times, right? You don't have to use Alexa for this to find this resource, but it is Alexa enabled, okay? And I imagine Siri and all the other friends are in on it too. So this is just a resource that you can provide or look into, because sometimes the barrier is maybe we weren't taught. So we don't know. So how can we share what our kids should be doing if we don't know? I was fortunate. My mom's a registered dietitian, so she still has tips for me today. She's probably watching from home. Hey, Mom. But she still gives me tips, and but I recognize that that's not what everybody's situation is. So I think it's important to know where your resources are so that you can empower your children for generations to come, okay? So what can parents do around the topic of healthy eating? You can provide plenty of vegetables, fruits, and whole grain products. There are some grocery stores that have better options, selections than others, but you know what's in your neighborhood, you know what's accessible, who has the best grapes. I know who has the best grapes in my neighborhood because I'm constantly buying grapes. Whole grain products, choose lean meats, poultry, fish, lentils, which is a type of bean, and beans for protein. Include low-fat or non-fat milk or dairy products such as cheese and yogurt. Nothing I'm saying here is new to you. What may be new, or I guess it's not new, just finding creative ways to do it. And I also wanted to mention, for those of you who don't drink milk, I'm one of those people, you want to make sure that if you are providing milk to your children that's an alternative, that it is fortified with the things that come in milk. Milk has a purpose, there's the calcium, there's all the vitamins, and you do need those things in your system. They help your bones, they're just good for your health. So if you are drinking a milk alternative like almond milk or rice milk or soy milk, whatever your preference is, read the container to make sure that it is fortified or, some vitamins have been added to it, because you could be drinking it for taste and it tastes good, but, at some point, when you get to a certain age, you're not just eating because it tastes good. You got to eat because there are things that your body needs. And children need to learn that early. You're not just eating to fill your stomach. You're not just eating because it tastes good. Sure, things will taste good, but it's really another purpose to it too. Your health is definitely what should be paramount. And continuing on, what can parents do? Encourage your family to drink water instead of sugary drinks. I can't even begin to tell you how many sugary drinks I just see the kids and I'm like, how do you even drink that? Some of the bottles say not for children. And where are they sold? In the Poppy store around the corner. And the kids come with a bottle this big of juice. It's cheap, right? You know, it's, the food stamps pay for it and such, but you really got to encourage, just get rid of all the juice in your house. You know, they'll be okay. Water. Add a splash of lemon, some watermelon, cucumber, something to give it some flavor. They'll be all right. Limiting snacks with high amounts of saturated fat, added sugar, and salt can help support healthy eating habits. And I wanted to add here because I wanted to make sure I mentioned it. I'll mention this again throughout the presentation, but we have to be an example. You know, we can't expect our children to eat something that we're not eating, because what they're going to look at us and say, well, why are you not eating it, you know, and look at you as a hypocrite. That's with anything, with raising children. So it's definitely the starting point. We have to do these things for ourselves so that our children can see it as valuable. All right. And then there's physical activity and children's health. This area has suffered significantly, I think, especially during the pandemic when everything was shut down. Boy, I'll never forget, I was pregnant that summer and my son, well, the system shut down, everything shut down in March. I was pregnant, the summer came, I'm looking at him, he's looking at me, I'm like, what are we gonna do this summer? My husband was still working, he was like an essential worker, and there was nothing to do. So we figured out a situation, we found a pool and we started going regularly because I needed to be cool because it was hot in the summer and I was really pregnant. So I just sat in the pool. I just sat there. And he had a good time. You know, he swam and did his thing. But it was that year that he really gained the most weight that he more than he should have. You know, and he still is yet to recover from the challenges that came along with not having the physical activity. So could he have gone outside? Sure. But I'm the person that takes him out generally. So I wasn't going outside in the heat. At 7, 8 months pregnant, it wasn't going to happen. So he's still very much recovering from it, and just like most children and adults, because we're still recovering from it also. You know, we're still having some challenges getting back into our routine. I can't speak for everyone. I'm still recovering from it, okay? And my friend Trudy here, she's with me on my walks with our ministry here at the church. So looking at the column to the left, we see that children who are physically active at least 60 minutes per day on all 7 days. Those children, 24% have mostly A's, 25% mostly B's, so that's about half your column there. And then you see the C's and D's column. Physical activity is not just important for your weight, it's not just important for your health. It's important for everything, all parts of you included. And when we're talking about children, we are talking about their academics, their success in school. And I tell my son all the time, I said, my job, I go to work and I'm a nurse, right? I do that. Daddy goes to work and he builds things, he does that. Your job is you go to school and you learn things. And if I can't provide him with the tools to be successful in school, such as giving him some outlet of a physical activity, then there's more that I need to do. So looking over to the columns next to it, played on at least one sports team. Most of those children, 66% of them have A's. Sports are important, not just for boys, for girls too. Attended physical education classes on all 5 days. Most of those, 26% of those children had A's and B's. Unfortunately, in the schools, I don't think that physical education is offered as much as it was in the past or should be. So again, it falls on parents. You know, we really got to step up to the plate. And grandparents, I'm sure there's grandparents here, there's aunties and uncles. It falls on us to make sure that our children are getting the activity that they're supposed to get. Let's see. The Physical Activity Guidelines for Americans, the second edition, recommended that children and adolescents ages 6 to 17 years do 60 minutes or more of moderate to vigorous physical activity. This made me tired just reading it, okay? Children ages 3, and it's supposed to say to 5, my typo, 3 to 5 should be active throughout the day to enhance growth and development. Movement is just important. And I'll tell you a story about my son. So he's 11, but he's a big guy because it just runs in his genes if you just know the genes. And so he just, you know, part of it is me and part of it is him. He loves his computer. He wants to sit there and play on his computer all day long, play on the computer all day long. So I'm very fond of my Apple Watch. My Apple Watch keeps me honest, right? And no, I was not paid by Apple. I am not promoting anything for Apple. But I am a promoter of tools that keep you, that help keep you accountable, right? Because that's the hardest part, is being accountable. So, you know, I was trying to figure out a way to increase his activity. I know for me, if I don't meet a certain activity level, then at the end of the day, I'm trying to hurry up and catch those minutes. And I'm trying to think about what keeps him motivated. So I said, let me find him an Apple Watch. Now, before you say, I ain't spending no money on that Apple Watch, I went right on eBay. I found the oldest version of the Apple Watch that is out, and I got him an Apple Watch for $50. Wow. So why did I do that? Because sometimes as parents, you feel like you just can't keep up with everything that your child is doing. So with him having that, he could set his minutes for his activities. These are things adults can do too. He could set his, whatever the calorie burn for his age and height and everything, and I can see it. So with that, he just thought he was getting a cool gadget. He said, okay, I got an Apple Watch. I'm the only one in my class with an Apple Watch. You know, he was doing this thing. But I had a purpose in that. On top of that, we have a reward system at home. So what kind of things motivate kids? Rewards. For him, it was these little Roblox dollars or whatever. Something for his Nintendo Switch. Something, you know, it never cost me a lot of money. Or maybe it was a trip to Chick-fil-A. I know it's counterproductive to exercising, but whatever. Once a week, we're going to do it. So every day, there's certain tasks he has to complete, and he gets points at home. It's like a reward system. And we earn things for what we do. So, you know, we're not going but so if he exercised for 30 minutes a day, according to his watch, he would get, that was the most points he could earn for one activity. So he became motivated to do it, and it was on his own. So he would look at his watch. I would see him throughout the day, you know, because I could see his activity, and I could see when he would be like going for a jog, and somebody would, like the people at his school would tell me, you know, Aiden's running again. I said, well, that's my boy, okay? But it was something that he felt confident about, that he could control, and it also built a sense of, hey, I need to be doing this. I may not be 100% sure why, but you know, it's important to mom. It's kind of fun to have this cool gadget on my arm. And yeah, I mean, kids like a challenge for the most part. So that's something that we still stick with. And it's just an example of just knowing your child and finding creative ways to help them meet the health goal and physical goals that we know that they should be meeting, that they might not always be aware of. So eBay, that was a good find, because I was not buying him a brand new Apple Watch. It wasn't going to happen. And he still has it too, to this day. So benefits of physical activity. It improves cardiorespiratory fitness, builds strong bones and muscles. It controls your weight, reduces symptoms of anxiety and depression. That's a big one. And reduces the risk of developing health conditions such as heart disease, cancer, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, osteoporosis, and obesity, all of which plague Black people. So we need to exercise for our health. You may have a goal, your child may have a goal, but it's really important to let them know that this is for your health. You know, you can meet those goals and that's great, but this is for your health. Consequences of physical inactivity leads to energy imbalance, which can increase the risk of becoming overweight or obese, increases the risk of factors for cardiovascular disease, including hyperlipidemia or high cholesterol, increases the risk for developing type 2 diabetes, increases the risk for developing breast, colon, endometrial, and lung cancers, and leads to low bone density, which in turn can lead to osteoporosis. If you tell your children this, they likely won't know what any of these things are. But what you can do is point to someone who you know who has one or two or three of these conditions and maybe highlight some of the challenges that they have as a result of having these conditions. Children aren't going to know what hyperlipidemia is, even if I said high cholesterol. I mean, some adults don't know what hyperlipidemia is, but even, you want to make it real to them. You want to make it plain. You want to make it simple. You want to make it so that they understand. When my son asked me questions, because now he's more curious about health, because we talk about it a lot. He wants to know, is this healthy? Should I, what did he ask me one day? He wanted to eat something. And I was like, well, do I give you a plate of Cheez-Its for dinner? There's a reason why your lunch, that's what we're talking about, like what a meal should be. There's a reason why your lunch should be, a sandwich with like some fruit or a vegetable and some water. Like you need to balance things out. So when they ask questions, it's up to us not to just write them off and, as a kid and just try to shut them up real quick. He really wants to know. And if I don't encourage that curiosity and point it in the right direction, it's going to be an area where he'll struggle because these really are the years where he's forming what he believes is important for his health, okay? Because I can remember back to things my mom said and why I do things the way I do now. So, what can parents do? Well, parents can make physical activity part of your family's daily routine. Got to get creative because everybody's daily routine I know mine is pretty strict. You want to encourage your children and teens to find fun activities to do on their own or with friends and family, such as taking a walk. Number 3, take young people to places where they can be active, like the playground, the tennis courts. Most neighborhoods have a playground. The safety is the challenge. But, if you drive, we used to go to the Ballard Playground all the time. We used to just drive right out of the city to the Ballard Playground. So places where they can be active and run and leave their phone at home. Encourage your children to participate in school or community physical activity or sports programs. They exist. And for the population that I serve, I always encourage, if you have Keystone First as your primary insurance for your children, the YMCA provides a free membership. Any YMCA. So that's a resource. And once you're a member, the classes cost money, but they're also discounted. So there's swimming, there's karate, there's basketball, there's workout classes. I'm trying to think of all the things there was soccer, there's all types of activities there. And they're generally inexpensive. So, and it's a social activity too. So then children can, engage with other kids other than the kids in their classroom. Okay? There was one piece I wanted to add. It'll come to me. Okay. All right. Children need sleep. I need sleep too, but children need sleep. They are in the most important years of their brains developing between the age of 0 and 22. And this chart comes from the CDC. And 6 out of 10 middle schoolers don't get enough sleep. I have a middle schooler. He probably does fall into that category because he gets all this homework, but it's another thing. 7 out of 10 high schoolers don't get enough sleep. Kids who are 6 to 12 years old need 9 to 12 hours of sleep. 12 hours of sleep. I don't know when the last time I had 12 hours of sleep. Probably never. I gotta be sicker in the hospital, and I don't want that. And teenagers, 13 to 18 years, they need 8 to 10 hours of sleep. Just is what it is. There's no way around it. It is what we need. We feel lousy when we don't get enough. I feel lousy when I don't get enough sleep. So children need sleep. And what is the enemy of sleep? Screen time. All right? Screen time. There's iPads, there's cell phones, there are Nintendo Switches, there's computers, there's Chromebooks, there's MacBooks, there's TV. I forgot to mention TV, the biggest screen of them all. Screen time. The children who watch television for 3 or more hours per day, only 15% of those children earned A's, as opposed to 28% D's and F's. Screen time, I'm not even gonna lie. Screen time helps me get the things that I need to get done when I'm home with my toddler. But I have to recognize that we have to limit it. It's just not gonna be healthy for her moving forward. So what can parents do? We can model and encourage habits that help promote good sleep. Model. I keep telling myself, model, model. I have to be the person that they see doing what it is that I'm expecting them to do. Adolescents with parents set bedtimes usually get more sleep than those whose parents do not set bedtimes. It's important. What I say goes, all right? Dim lighting. Implement a media curfew. My son, he gets so upset. I'm so glad he's the age he is now, and I'm doing this presentation because I can talk about these things with experience. I put downtime on his phone. If you guys have heard of downtime before? Downtime? So downtime is what you can go to your settings. I should have put this on the slide, but you can go into your settings and your child is likely on your plan, and you can set parameters. So you can make sure that at 8 o'clock or whatever time, anytime really, you can set it however you want. All of these things shut down. Whatever you're doing, it won't work anymore. The only thing he can do on downtime is call me and his dad. That's it. That's it. You shouldn't be on YouTube. You shouldn't be playing games. You shouldn't be doing nothing. And then, like, you know, if they get on punishment for whatever reason, hey, phone's on downtime for 24/7, except if you need to call me. So, you know, they don't pay the bill. It's cool. They're going to be all right. Downtime is effective. And they know exactly what it is. And if they need something, like say they're at having a sleepover or something, because his downtime is the same time every day, even on the weekend. So if he's out somewhere, like at his cousin's house, he can just push the button and it'll send me a notification that he's asking for more time, and I can just do it right from my phone. Or I cannot. I don't have to, and then he'll call me. So these are things that we have to control. Phones are so challenging to keep up with because we have our own phones, right? I'm not trying to keep up with his phone too, but I have to. Because if I don't, he'll take advantage of it. And I do want him to have a phone because the world we live in is not kind. And I do want him to understand that he can access me at all times. And his dad, and his grandparents too, you know, and family. But screen time, definitely a challenge here. And then jumping to mental health. This is, we see, I can probably point to a situation every day of this week where mental health was on the table for the population of K through 8th grade children that I work with. So CDC states that ADHD, attention deficit hyperactive disorder, anxiety problems, behavior problems, and depression are the most commonly diagnosed mental disorders in children. And I think people start to wonder, why now? Like, what's going on? There's a lot of things that are different from, you know, when my mom was growing up. I was telling some of the ladies here, my mom's 75. So things are just different as far as identification, as far as diagnosis, as far as stressors. Every generation has stress. I think social media is a specific stressor to this generation that is that predicts what we know about mental health in children. So, depression, anxiety, behavior disorders by age. I used to be alarmed when I saw some of these things, but working in the school every day and hearing the things some of the kids come to school with and the things that they say, I think this is probably less than what's tracked, quite honestly. So 3 to 5 years. I have a 3-year-old. Oh my goodness, depression? What is going on? What's going on? What's going on at home? What's going on in their lives that they're receiving the diagnosis of depression? 6 to 11, and then 12 to 17. That fun age, you know, when a lot of things are happening, a lot of things are changing, and in my experience of where I work, children are being parented less because they're older and they're expected to just know how to take care of themselves or take care of their siblings. Anxiety. I see a lot of anxiety. It presents as stomach aches, headaches, and one child said to me yesterday she had a bad situation where she witnessed abuse in her household, and she herself, I think she was 9 or so, she was calling the police 3 times. The police didn't come. Person was throwing stuff at her, knives, pots and pans, everything. And she came to school and she was doubled over in pain. And I didn't know that this was her situation, but she asked to come see the nurse. She came to see me, and she put her head down on the desk and she just started talking. And she told me what happened, and her stomach didn't hurt because she was sick. She wasn't ill. She had anxiety, and she said that. She said, I said, well, what made you call the police? She said, I felt unsafe. Children should feel safe. The fact that she didn't feel safe and it was now presenting in her body as a physical illness, she told me she felt like she wanted to vomit, and I checked all the things, and she was not ill. And we ended up consulting with the counselor, and you know, we put things in place for her, make sure that she felt safe in school and at home and such. But that goes back to that framework that I mentioned earlier. You know, it's not just the school, it's not just the parents, it's not, we have to involve the counselors, we have to involve the primary care doctors, we have to involve the church, we have to involve the community. Actually, her grandma, she came to visit Stronghold maybe like last year, because I was telling her about it, and she came back to the school, and she has such a funny demeanor, and she said, oh, I went to the church, everything was beautiful. She said, the words on the screen, they were so big, I sat in the back. I mean, she was thrilled with Stronghold, okay? And I still see her from time to time. She was so happy, and she just had this little walk, and I just enjoy seeing her all the time. And she walks past the church probably every day to go get her grandkids and go back. So, you know, it's only natural that, and I was glad that she had the opportunity to come in, but she was afraid because her grands are Muslim, and, you know, she didn't want to interfere with the mom's wishes. But anyway, Stronghold is a part of that community also, which is part of the reason why I'm super grateful to be here. Behavior disorders, the things like ADHD, ADD, ODD, the things that children have, and you know, people just say, oh, that child is bad, or they don't pay attention. No, they really got something going on. And there's more identification of these issues than there was in the past. There's laws that require professionals to seek out what, you know, these children that have these issues, and it's not just because their stomach hurts or just because, you know, they just want to be bad. No, if you look at their home life, it's some things going on, all right? And their parents aren't able to support them in the way that they need to, so then it comes out when the child comes to school, which is great that they come to school, because then we can identify and get them help and treatment. So, sorry, y'all, I don't mean to be a downer. So, social media. How many of us here have a social media account? I have 2, okay? And the children, they clown me all the time at the school. They're like, what, you have a Facebook? I was like, Facebook? What's wrong with Facebook? Well, let me tell you, Facebook is not the thing of this generation. The one, they like, Facebook, that means you're old. That's what they tell me. So I'm about to quit this job. I'm not y'all calling me old. And I'm not. So the effects of social media on children's mental health. Cyberbullying. There are fights that happen at the school because of something that was said or done on social media the night before. All right? Children are, it used to be you come to school, you get bullied, that's a problem. But now you at home, you're getting bullied online, then you come to school and you got to deal with it, and then there's a fight. But the adults don't know what the fight is about. And then somebody has the screenshot of whatever conversation was said, and then you figure out what it is. That's a big issue. I didn't have a cell phone until I was like 14, and it was still heavily monitored. And there wasn't social media. And the kids now, I see some kindergartners with cell phones. I don't know if they have social media, but they whip that thing out. I'm like, who's paying this bill? Then there's privacy and safety. That's a big one. Children, people are seeking out children, unfortunately. Risk to their reputation. One of the girls literally asked me, how do you go back and fix something that has ruined your reputation? Something that happened on social media. Inappropriate or harmful content that they can come across either in ads or, there's so many things that just kind of sneak things in there. I'm like, what did that man say on YouTube? But he's on YouTube Kids with my 3-year-old daughter, It's people are just evil, trying to sneak things in there. And then it's a time drain. We can't find time. I find it hard to do social media and find time for the things that I'm supposed to be doing. So children don't have that barrier. They don't have that understanding of, oh, let me spend 15 minutes on social media and then I'll spend 30 minutes doing my homework. That's not a thing. Because if anybody in here has been on social media and you just scroll and scroll and scroll, and then you look and you're like, oh my goodness, it's time for bed. I missed dinner. People just do really the most when it comes to social media. So one of the things that I came across when I was making these slides is that it's important to create a family media plan. We have to hold ourselves accountable too. So let your children, grandchildren, nieces and nephews see you holding yourself accountable also. If my son sees me on Instagram, he'll be like, you on Instagram? Yeah. But I don't feel like it's something that he shouldn't know. I feel like he's asking for a reason. Maybe it's based off of something I said. He doesn't challenge me on how much time I'm on, and then we talking about something different. But it's important that we create a family media plan. Include everybody. It's not just for the kids. We need to have parameters also. I remember in a group that I facilitate at the school, one of the other staff members helps me. It's just for young ladies. And one of the sessions we talked about was on social media and just confidence and, how just people's perception of you and how you perceive yourselves. So at the end of the lesson, I said, okay, so we're going to do a social media fast. And everybody packed up their things. Get this. And they were like, what? No. Even the other adult. She was like, you on your own, Nurse McGill. And I hadn't talked to her about it first, but she was like, no, I can't do that. And the way she described it to me, I kind of understood. She had a daughter who was going out of the country for a trip, and she was like, no, I need her to have access to it. I'm like, don't she got a cell phone? Don't she got FaceTime? But she said, no, not me. And then the kids looked at her and said, not me either. I can't do it. So we have to be an example. If we as adults can recognize social media has positives too. Sure. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not here to talk about that. Right. We have to recognize that there are things that are harming our children that are specific to this generation and the generations to come, because it's only going to get worse. If we don't teach them what they need to do, what they should know, things they should avoid, it's important. Thankfully, my son hasn't asked for social media yet. He knows it exists because all his friends have. He did ask me for Cash App. I was like, and what card do you have to attach it to? It's just never-ending fun in this age. I said, what? Okay. No, I'm going to keep giving you $1 and $2 here and there when you need it, when you ask for it, get you a pretzel or something. So you might be challenged by knowing what are the different social medias. In many of the generations who are watching or sitting here in the audience, social media was not a thing. It just what cell phones was not a thing. If you went to talk to somebody, what'd you do? You went to their house, You knocked on the door. You said, hey, can you come outside and play? And then that's just what happened, you know? That was the beginning of my life also. But things are just different, you know? So you want to know what you're up against. You want to know what to look for. You want to know, you know, what are your kids doing? Because my son will quickly swipe off of something. And I'm like, what was that? Mm-hmm. But if I don't know what he was looking at, so you have to be able to identify. And I didn't put the words up here for a reason, because these logos, well, Facebook is Facebook. But these logos don't have words, so you want to be, you know, you got to be on it. So Snapchat is a little ghost on the left. Twitter is now called X, apparently. I just learned that. That's the little bird on the top. Then you have the little camera, that's Instagram. Okay? Facebook in the middle. And the one that I refuse to get TikTok, is TikTok. TikTok. Now, most adults know what TikTok is. I know it as a waste of my time. There's good stuff on there really is. And the kids will come. One boy told me how to bandage up his finger. He said, I saw it on TikTok. I said, what? Why am I here? I'm packing up my stuff to go. Let's pay the TikTok people. You learn how to do whatever. But TikTok has some educational things, but it has a lot of like other stuff too. So you need to know what they are so that you can talk to your children about what they are and how to be careful about some of these little tricks and traps that are within these social media platforms. And again, I'm not saying that social media is all bad, but there are our children are suffering when their self-worth and their identity is wrapped up in how many likes they can get on a picture. It's really, really sad. And I asked the girl last year, I said, well, we were talking about social media. I said, what happens if you put a picture up and like you only get a few likes? She was like, well, I just take it down. I was like, you don't leave it there? She's like, no, it doesn't get any likes. So it's that important? You can't you put it up there just for likes? That just blew my mind. What about you just wanted to share something positive, you know? No, if you didn't get enough likes, took it down. So I did do the social media fast at that time. The other adult did not. She was like, I'm not doing it. And the kids, they looked at me like I was crazy. But I still talked about it every week. So hopefully it's something that maybe they'll try in the future. I don't know. So how can parents help? Parents can model healthy coping skills. They can watch for behavior changes. They can keep communication open and honest. Create a routine and set clear boundaries at home, and let them know they are loved and supported. Mental health it can be a little challenging because you may not feel equipped. I know sometimes I don't feel equipped, even as a medical professional, to address some of the things that come to my office, and I'm quick to call a counselor. Hey, you free? To get them involved, but you know, it's kind of like, is this child going through something? Is this developmental? Is this like a part of is it behavioral? You know, is this trauma? It's hard to identify because it could be all three. So we don't need to claim ourselves to be experts about this, but I think it is important to know where your resources lie, such as here at the church. You can seek counseling. There's counselors in every school. We have 3 in a school of 250 kids. That's it, 3 counselors. And they are used all the time. You can talk to your primary care doctor. I always say start at the primary care doctor. If you're concerned about anything with your child, they are the gatekeepers of everything, because likely you might need a referral for something. So you want to start with your primary care doctor. All right? You want to provide positive feedback and encouragement. Encourage joyful movement. We try to have little dance parties, you know, on Friday nights when, you know, school is out and, you know, we can have fun. Talk about emotions and feelings. It's okay to talk about those things. Involve them in decision making and get professional help if needed. All right? So the last topic I wanted to discuss is where can I get the best, most appropriate care if my child is sick? The parents at my school are so quick to run to the ER. I'm like, no, especially this time of year. You know, if if there's like a minor injury, like I have a child who had it was a burn, but it was a minimal one. Those can be treated at urgent care. You can go to urgent care. So we're going to watch a quick video on the difference, how you know the difference on where you should take your child, okay?
There are many times when parents don't know if they should bring their child to an urgent care and an emergency department. Urgent care is an extension of your primary care after hours. So we do not handle any life-threatening emergencies.
At pediatric urgent care, we can see all sorts of ailments, things from ear infections and strep throat to broken bones, simple colds, stomach bugs. Things that may be more appropriate for an emergency department would be things such as serious head injuries requiring imaging, choking episodes, unresponsiveness, seizures. We encourage families to call their pediatrician first whenever they have a question about their child. We are here if you need us after hours, but your pediatrician is also always available for phone calls and questions to help you determine if urgent care is appropriate.
I like quick videos, keeps your attention. So as a recap, and you can take a picture of, this is what they presented on the slide, but I just screenshot it. So choose 911 or the emergency room for serious head injuries, choking, unresponsive. If you're, shaking at your child and nothing comes, then that's an emergency. Seizures, broken bones that require casting, difficulty breathing, other life-threatening injuries, life-threatening. Now, urgent care, a lot of my parents go right to the ER for these things, and they sit for hours, and then they complain when they come back. I sat in the ER for 6 hours. Well, you didn't have to be there. Ear infections, coughs, colds, sore throats, broken bones that require splinting, stomach bugs, diarrhea, vomiting, allergic reactions, rashes, asthma, dehydration, minor cuts, burns, head injuries, removal of ticks, splinters or sharp objects, urinary tract infections. Urgent care centers are uniquely designed to provide urgent care. So you need it now, you can get in quick and you can get out and you can get the care that you need and you can follow up with your child's pediatrician. So I think that they are absolutely phenomenal. I had a parent today, same child with a minor burn on his shoulder. I called the parent, I said, hey, he's got this thing going on. She said, I know, I just work a crazy schedule and I haven't been able to take him to go get it checked out. I'm gonna take him to the ER tomorrow, I'm gonna keep him home from school. I said, no. Not keep him home from school. That's the part where I said, no, he has to be in school. I said, well, there's an urgent care, because there is one that I refer my parents to in the area that has Saturday hours, and they're also open till 8. Explore those options. Type in urgent care. Look at the closest one. It does a great disservice to the child when they're not able to come to school for something that's minor. And I'm there. I said, I'm here every day. I can treat this and keep dressing it until you get him to the hospital or, get him to urgent care to get it seen. When they go to the ER in a season such as now, where there is, let's just name the viruses, okay? Well, we won't do that. There's more than enough to go around. And where are they going around? At the emergency room. Everybody is there, and there's the RSV, and there's COVID, and there's the flu, there's the stomach bug. There's all types of viruses that aren't even named or identified, and they just say virus. That's your diagnosis when you leave. And the treatment is Tylenol, fluids, and rest. I could have told you that. So it's important that you know what the complaint is, you identify what the complaint is, right? And you figure out which way you should go. Urgent cares generally have pretty decent hours. Some even stay open till midnight, but it's just a matter of you doing the research. As far as copay goes, it depends on your insurance, of course, but they may do the same copay because it's they technically code it as an ER, but sometimes it's cheaper. I just know it's less time. For me, time is money, and I'm going to the place that's going to cost me less time. So let's see. In summary, I'm doing pretty good with time, go me. In summary, your children are a reflection of you. Take pride in every aspect of their lives. They will learn by your example, not your advice. okay? And because we know the Lord and we know what he has done for us and what he's going to do for our children and their children and their children, we know that if you train up a child in the way they should go, and when they grow old, they will not depart from it. Proverbs 22:6. It's really important that when you're talking about children's health that you have a lens, a focus, because there's so many pieces to it. Even your own health, there's so many pieces to it. You know, I could get up and ride my Peloton in the morning, and by the end of the day, I'm emotionally just a wreck because of something that took place. So you got to look at all the things that children need. And I didn't make this a slide. I apologize. I thought about it afterwards. But there's a cute little thing. If you hold up your hand, this is 5, right? 5 servings of fruit and veggies per day. 4 glasses of water. 3 good belly laughs. The good kind that make you roll on the floor. They are good for you. 2 hours or less of screen time. Okay? Less. That's the emphasis on less. And 1 hour of physical activity plus 8 hours of sleep. If you can do all of those things, have your children do all of those things, you're setting them up for the foundation for a healthy life. That is all I have to present to you this evening. Am I able to do questions? Okay, so if there are any questions, I don't claim to be an expert, but I'm happy to address. Yes, Sister Anita.
Well, Ginny, you know the cell phones, kids are addicted. Those cell phones could be glued to their hands permanently. So even, how do you encourage the parent to take it away at night?
So the question is, how do we encourage parents to take their child's cell phone away at night? I take the charger. You can't charge it if you don't have a charger, and you know you want it for the next day. And I take everything upstairs, or in my room, with anything that has the capability to charge his phone. I'm gonna take it all away. So I bring it in my room. So if you want your phone to be charged the next day, which you do, and I do too, but that's a secret, I'm taking all of the charging devices away. Nothing, you can't charge it. And I just say, and sometimes it just comes down to, these are my rules. That's it. That's period. These are my rules. And if you don't like my rules, then you lose the whole thing in general. I have other ways of keeping track of you. Okay, I know my son's teachers. I can text them at any moment to figure out what's going on. And he's only, your child, like moving. As they get older, I think it's a little harder to keep track of them because they have this, that, and everything, sports, and they do different activities. But I think if we set the foundation early that the expectation is that you follow my rules no matter what those rules are, then they train up a child and they will not depart from it. But I do keep all the charging stations away. There's nothing, you don't have it. So your phone will be dead for all week, and that's that. Did you have a question?
Yes. Is there a full-time nurse in all public schools?
So the question is there a full-time nurse in all public schools? No, there is not. And the goal is that there will be, or there should be. I can speak for the school district, but I know other school districts probably, enlist the same type of requirement. But I know there's a shortage of nurses, and typically school nursing doesn't pay the highest that you can make in nursing. So you really got to have a desire to serve children in the community that you serve. Because me personally, I left the hospital to go into school nursing because it provided more balance for my life. But there's a shortage because nobody wants to deal with other people's kids. Yeah. That's the challenge, right? Because then when those kids get nasty, sometimes you like, let me remember Jesus. Yeah. So there are supposed to be school nurses in every school, but there are not. There is a quite robust substitute program. So I'm rarely out, but this year, if I've been out a day, I've had a substitute nurse who comes in. So that's important too, because children do need care, but they will come looking for you. And when I came back, they said, "Excuse me, Nurse McGill, you were not here yesterday. There was somebody else, and she was not you." I said, "Oh my goodness." Guess I can never leave this place, huh? But you become like a hero to them. Like, you know, besides fixing all their things, and they'll tell you, you helped me. So it's a job that I really, really enjoy. But unfortunately, there's not one in every school. Any other questions? Andre.
Excellent presentation.
Thank you, Brother Andre. Thank you, Brother Andre.
If you're babysitting somebody's kid, but they're used to unhealthy diet, like they eat a lot of fast food, and then you try to give them something healthy, and they say, I'm not eating. What do you do?
So if you're babysitting somebody's kids and their diet is typically fast food and just junk, and you want to give them something healthy, what do you do? I mean, that's a battle that's like an uphill battle, because those children are used to something. And me as a visitor, an infiltrator really, I'm not going to be able to change that, but I would have the conversation. If you know that that's what goes on in their household, you may be able to say something to their parent, you know, ahead of time, I don't feel comfortable, or they're going to be up all night if I try to give them this snack. But it really goes back to the parent, whatever they allowed them to intake. Because the children are going to say, well, my mama said, I don't have to eat. And then you're going to be in trouble, and there go your paycheck. So, so that's something I would have to probably address with the parent, because the child's only eating what they know. And they're not going to pick up a piece of asparagus and say, you know, let me just eat this for a snack when they got donuts on the counter. Any other questions? I appreciate all of your attention, all of you who are virtual. I do hope that you gleaned some helpful information from this evening's presentation. And I'm here for questions. I'm here. It's a different world with the
Thank you.